A lot of insights and a lot of thoughts have been shared, and I've definitely gained a lot of knowledge, what I thought I might have had, but don't, hearing what other people's success stories are. So hopefully I can share with everybody a bit more about what we understand to be the main market space in terms of loyalty and customer engagement. And presentation, or what I'm going to cover, is slightly different in that we'll focus on more of the statistical and quantifiable analysis that comes out of our program around, does loyalty and customer engagement work, or have what effect it has in the main market. So let me move on from there. Just going to minimize that. So briefly, what we're going to cover over the next few minutes is really three key sections. I'm going to keep it limited to what Bonsella does and what we do. We rather using the analysis and our insights we've gained from this market to give the answer in our view as to how does customer engagement and loyalty affect or play a part in the main market. The second section is really the looking at where do we draw this analysis from, and showing you some real live campaigns that have happened and what the performance of those campaigns have been and what the effect has been. And then also revert to a research study we did quite briefly about 2 months ago for a client, a large store group client in the main market, to understand the effect of our program in not only their stores, but some of the other stores as well. So briefly, background on Bonsella. Bonsella we established about 10 years ago, 7 to 8 years ago now. And Bonsella actually stands for reward or gift. We derived the name off the word pansela in the Zulu vernacular in terms of a reward or gift or atonement of some sort of value. And that's what we positioned as the customer-facing brand in the market. I think to kick off, the main point is to look at where do we play and what are we trying to achieve in this space. For many years and even to date, the main market has been underserviced in terms of rewards, in terms of benefits, campaigns. And this is not really the reason of brands or of companies not wanting to play in the space. It's been more about the complexity and the ability to be able to do it and execute campaigns and programs in the main market. For those and for clarity, the main market in our view and where we position it into the market is that it's really the base of the pyramid. It's probably the largest proportion of the population in the country. Very rural and peri-urban based, predominantly a large cases in the KZN, Limpopo, Eastern Cape regions. They do, however, also contribute a big portion to the FMCG spend in this country, and even liquor, even hardware, other areas as well. But our focus at the moment is FMCG. So they are a very important sector of the market, but are, I won't say untouchable, but are very hard to access in terms of customer engagement and loyalty programs. In terms of Bonsella, where we see the main importance of these programs is that there's got to be a coming together of three primary stakeholders. It's the store, the consumer, and a brand. In the independent or main market store space, these are very fragmented. Most of our stores that we operate through are standalone, individually owned stores. We've got two brothers that own 5 stores. We've got a Muslim family in Durban that owns 12 stores. We have a Lebanese and a gentleman and his cousin who own 2 stores. So these are stores that are very independently operated and hence operate on different technologies, different point of sale systems, have different stock relationships with brands. And it's difficult to consolidate this. And that's been part of our journey, and hence it's taken quite a while, is to create a digital platform that allows us to interact with consumers in the last mile throughout all these stores with a generic program called Bonsella, and be able to run it digitally and on scale. A key component has also been the ability to activate and engage consumers. And through this, we use an app which is run by our agents in stores. And we capture all the demographic data of the consumer, as well as a signature and a lot of information around their shopping behavior. This comes through the direct integrations we have into store point of sale systems. So what we're doing is connecting the consumer, the transaction in the store, and now the ability through a cloud-based digital environment and analytics environment, understand what campaigns can run and how do you run a generic program across independently operated entities. The type of stores that we are focused on, and this is throughout what we refer to as, say, the main market, are really two levels. One is the large independent FMCG stores. So most of our stores are have an excess of 100 to maybe 300 plus million turnover a year. To put that in perspective, some of them are running 20, 30, 40 tills. Two of our largest stores, one is running 61 tills, another one 58 tills. So if you consider walking into a mainline store or a national store here in Johannesburg or Durban or wherever you might normally shop, those are the kind of sizes when you see that number of till systems up and running. This just shows you some of the visuals and how we activate and engage with the customers on the front end. One or two of our learnings over the past few years has been the understanding that programs are only successful if the customer understands it and can understand how to use it. We went through a lot of challenges over the years of putting up wobblers on shelves, as you can see on the right there, on the bottom left, and how we donated the actual benefit that might be on promotion. And at the end of the day, it came down to a combination of visual, having a picture of the item, having numeric, what is it you got to do? So buy one instead of buy O-N-E, for example. And the reason is that we didn't realize what level of illiteracy exists outside of the vernacular language of the customer. A lot of customers can speak English, but not necessarily read English, but can read Zulu or Xhosa, for example, or one of the other languages. So we had a lot of challenges getting to a point of how do customers engage by getting to understand the program. A lot of it is also driven through face-to-face, in-store, where you see our yellow agents, they're permanently based in store. We employ from the community, we upskill youth, and we give them permanent jobs in the store to run the marketing, engage with customers. And to date, we have over 200 or 250 agents employed across the country and growing quite rapidly in that space. Okay, to move more into some of the interesting stats and the data elements, to get to our kind of our end answer as what affects customer engagement or loyalty in this space, is the key to three of the stakeholders, or two of the stakeholders, is data, and that's really the brands, and to the store owners. What we found is that until we launched these programs across a large base of stores, the brands, meaning the supplier, like your Unilever, your Tiger, Danone, any of the brands in the space, found it very difficult to measure any effective campaigns in this sector. If you're doing a campaign through a large chain store of 200-300 stores, that's quite easy. They're all working with the same point of sale system. You have an agreement with the store marketing directors or owners, and you can get produced reports to that. When you're operating the same scale of campaign, but across 10 to 20 different type of till systems with different connectivity, with different reporting and data fields, it becomes virtually impossible. So that's what we've done, is to aggregate. And by doing that, we can now provide brands with the key information required to get them to participate in campaigns, and in turn get consumers now to enjoy these campaigns. And that really covered the marketing activity, ROI on their campaign, product distribution, new product launches and activations, and providing a lot of incentives and rewards that can now be measured to see the uptake by the customer. The next 4 slides I'll show you is just 3 or 4 of the different type of data campaigns we provide. These are actual snapshots from a real brand report, which gets provided to a brand on a monthly basis if they're on campaign. And you can see by the type of data that we can now extrapolate across multiple stores, but consolidate it into a single view. So this data is probably being scoped across maybe 100, 120 stores, could be 150 stores, depending on how many stores this particular brand participated in and what their stock levels were. We can show them what the demographic data of their customers are, who's purchasing it, male, female. We can show them exactly where they are positioned in their category share in that particular day of the month, even down to the minute. As you can see by the graph on the right-hand side, where their blue line is where their stock is trading at and where their competitive products are trading. Down to hourly sales data for their products. What we've also reflected is that a lot of campaigns run on a Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but the highest buying period of a lot of the products might be Monday or Tuesday, especially for lunchbox for schools, for example. And some of the brands we've interacted with were really taken back to know that they shouldn't be really running their campaigns on the Thursday or the Friday, but rather on the Monday or the Tuesday. The other area we focus on is looking at the performance of a loyalty program and the customer engagement campaigns and how we measure basket value of loyalty members versus non-loyalty. So this is basically off our database of over 1.7 million customers now in these stores. And we can see it fairly tracks closely depending on the campaign levels that loyalty members and people participating in the campaigns have a higher basket spend. It is a bit slanted and people would debate it because obviously people who are on loyalty programs are likely to interact more and spend more. But it is a metric we do track to assess how sales are going. Quite interesting enough, you'll see in April, May, or March, April, May, of this sector here, the rapid increase at this point, and this was due to the COVID mass scale buying in March, April, which led to that peak of that space. And what we did see was that the products on campaign had incentives to the loyalty consumers increased the basket level compared to the non-loyalty, and you could see the size of the gap growing in that space. The second metric we measure and provide to brands is product sales. So this would be the rand value of their product change in a campaign. And you'll see this particular slide showing that this product, it was for chips, type of chips, could have been Simba, Kellogg, Simba, Doritos, any one of those. Obviously, we keep all our data confidential and all our store data very confidential. So no one's got sight to that. Even the brands don't have sight to who their competitors' names are in brand reports or category reports or to specific store sales. But in this case, you'd see that during the campaign period of October, they had this particular product sold 96,000 rands worth of units, and compared to the previous months, as well as this pasta product had quite a rapid increase for that period of October as well when they were on campaign. Now, what this reflects outside of the brand seeing a growth in their sales is that the customers are engaging with this particular campaign, which is a positive, because that is what's really showing the sales increase at the end of the day. In terms of sales analysis, this would show another report we do on unit sales. And here we measure usually the last 2 or 3 months prior average compared to the campaign month. And in this case, the campaign month was June, July last year, one of the reports. And we'll show what increase has been in a percentage format of these different products: bar soap, stock cubes, washing powder. You could probably guess who the brand is once you know that they supply all of those. But it will show that there's been a 34%, 17%, 12%, 3% increase in their average sales uplift of units during that campaign period. And lastly, we also look at category share on the prior year, and also to understand whether the loyalty program and engaging with the customers has improved performance over a longer period of time. And again, in the case of just these 2 products, what we can see is that the soap category 1 increased to 48% compared to 9% of the category from the prior year, and washing powder 81% compared to 16% of the prior year. So these aren't the exceptional reports. We've got reports that of campaigns that are far better than this, the campaigns that are worse than this. But in general, we have a 90 to 95% campaign success rate because we can tailor make it directly to the customer and to the store itself to ensure that we can amend it as the campaign runs to ensure it's a positive outcome. Outside of the campaigns and data, we then look at customer engagement in terms of activations, and this is activating customers and products in a store. So this could be a spin and win on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning. It could be a pop the balloon event outside the store where the customer buys a certain product that might be on promotion, for example, body lotion, 400 ml, and they go outside, they show their product or their till slip, and they get a chance to spin a wheel, and they might win a free bottle or free gift, or win airtime, or pop a balloon and get a surprise gift inside the balloon. Very, very successful in the main market. This market loves activity, excitement, the ability to participate in something, and interestingly enough, far more than the more upper income urbanized markets. They're very active with boom boxes on a Saturday morning on a pedestal, shouting out the benefits and the program deals and the specials, and a lot of the incitement activity comes from these type of campaigns, and these do result in quite a big uplift on those days, particularly of those product sales compared to previous days or periods in the prior months. Another element is tastings, which I'm sure we're all fairly familiar with. Also, again, quite successful in the space, and particularly in larger stores where there's space to be able to run tastings and activations at the same time. And again, this shows, as you can see, particularly for this product, instant maize meal, quite a nice uplift on the prior averages for that period. Obviously, like instant maize meal here, 5 kg was probably run in one store only or a test store, so you only had 5 units. But that's again where brands can utilize this platform to test products and launch new products prior to going on a large scale rollout. So into kind of the last section of what I wanted to share with everybody was some research we did in September, I think it was, yeah, September this year, where it's commissioned by one of the store groups to run across some of their stores and other stores of ours to really understand how customers understood the program, our Bonsella program in the stores, but more in a generic format. Do they understand loyalty? Do they change behavior because of campaigns and promotions and specials and loyalty initiatives? What we saw was out of the survey, which was fairly national to some degree, and predominantly female shoppers, which were the predominant shoppers there, was that there was a high uplift on awareness by all the questions asked. So when we asked, do you know about Bonsella campaigns in the store and where you can get free airtime, we had a 91% success rate or yes rate, and that was really due to the high visibility of the branding and the awareness, which I mentioned early on in the presentation. Would they change their shopping behavior, or would they change a store if they earned free airtime or earned free benefits? Again, quite a high uplift of people saying yes, they would. And we've seen this in tracking our consumers by where they spend, where they have joined the Bonsella program in a store in Durban, and we see them now shopping in 2 or 3 other Bonsella stores in the region where we didn't see them prior to shopping there. So they've obviously moved their shopping behavior to some degree to stores that they do get the benefits from. Other questions, and I won't go through all of them in detail, but will show that the consumers are changing their behavior to the different benefits that they can see in the store. Ultimately, it still always boils down to the store's retail pricing and the deals that are offered. And when we said, why do you shop at the store? 13% said because Bonsella airtime rewards, but still the majority make sure there's specials. And a lot of the specials comment of 50% was including some of the Bonsella. But at the end of the day, they are shopping for the deal that's out there. And if they can communicate it correctly, they'll take up that proposition. So just to end off in terms of giving the overview of what we kind of set out as a theme of this discussion, was that what we've seen in campaigns, research, and being very active in these stores for many years is that loyalty programs and customer engagement do work. But again, it comes back to the 3 stakeholders. Is the store benefiting? Is the consumer benefiting? And is the brand benefiting? There's no use in running a campaign or trying to launch a loyalty program if the brands can't see the results of their efforts and their spend, or if the store doesn't see an increase in the customer behavior or change in their retail turnover or increase in basket value, or the customer doesn't see enough value by joining the program. There's a delicate balance between making sure all three stakeholders are satisfied and achieving their objectives at the end of the day. And from there, we've seen a lot of interest and growth where our store rollout over the next 2 years in excess of 500 stores, and more than another 150 stores next year will put us up at about 350 stores, and we'll be at about 500 stores mid-2022. We've also launched recently into our first POCs in taverns and into spazas. And again, that's going to see a massive rollout during next year. Again, all linked to the same aggregated platform, and for customers to also be able to utilize their Bonsella card across those different outlets at the same time. So I don't want to rather leave it open to anyone who would like to ask any questions. I thought we'd provoke some thought around the stats of how the programs are working in the space. And as I said, it's very complex. It's very it's hard to do, and the reasons are really the multitude of different connectivities and technologies and systems and processes that do run in the space. So we're quite excited to see this grow rapidly over the next 2, 3, 4 years, and it's the countries in Africa where we currently operate, and about 8 other countries where we're launching more of these kind of programs, particularly in the FMCG space. So thanks everyone for joining and for oversights, and I think over to you, Amanda.
Great, Andrew, thank you so much. And we've taken the slides off. There we go. We have a question straight away, and I, as you can expect, have a few questions. Thanks ever so much for sharing so much. Candice Goodman, thanks Candice. Can you comment please, Andrew, on what channels you're using to communicate with your customer base, and how often and with what sort of information?
Good question, and we've tried everything in the last 5 years to try and work out what is the most efficient and the most effective. The most efficient and effective for us is SMS. We did launch an app about 1 year or 2 years ago, which we will come back to, but we did stop it after a few months. And again, it was really about smartphone penetration at the time, about data usage, all those sensitivities we might not see in generally higher mainline stores and programs. So SMS is our main communication. And the second one is in-store visibility. That has proven to be a major factor, where we have posters on broadsheet in the newspapers, on promotions and campaigns there, and then activity like the activation wheels and the pop the balloon. So our agents in the store and SMSs are the most effective.
Great, thank you. Hi Deborah, I see Deborah Armstrong has asked a question. Hi, is the language used for communication only in English?
No, so we go across all languages. I mean, in Kenya, we communicate in Swahili on our coupons campaigns, or could be in any of those languages. Obviously, Zulu and Xhosa in South Africa on a lot of the campaigns. In store, we keep it to English in terms of the promotions and the exposure there, but a lot of SMSs do go out in the vernacular language.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. I've got I was actually going to ask the same question as Candice about your comms channels. The results you shared, Andrew, are really incredible. Like I agree with you in the sense of loyalty basket versus non-loyalty basket is sitting at 89%. Typically, obviously, we always talk about loyalty customers self-select because they are they want to take advantage of the deals because they're shopping more. But that number of 89% is certainly comparable with a lot of different programs we've assessed. So I think it's a solid assessment. And then I see in the spin and win, it's not really a question, it's just an observation that you saw a 52% uplift for dishwashing liquid. The other results were impressive, but obviously dishwashing liquid is flying with a spin and win campaign. I mean, you must see, as I saw in the different product types, different uplifts. Is that just due to popular need of certain products, or was it data led? Was it time of day? What do you think leads to a 52% uplift versus less?
So excuse me, we have a fairly good predictive tool within our data infrastructure that prior to engaging with the brand, they're always going to ask us, is this going to work? you know, what uplift can I expect, and what can I get? And we've, over the time and processing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of transactions every day for the last few years, we can see the days of the week or the times of the day where different products would work. So, for example, a 6-pack of yogurt doesn't work on a Friday afternoon. And there's 2 reasons for it. One, it's a lunchtime purchase that needs to be activated on a Monday or on a Sunday. 2, there's refrigeration issues that the consumer has in actually buying it at that point in time. And often they're traveling long distances without a cooler bag or refrigeration, or even sometimes waiting for another day to get the products back into their house. Yeah. Where just dishwashing liquid does work. So probably it was done on a Friday. I don't know the exact days that went through. But we utilize the data to try to determine exactly when and how the products will be working. The second point, or the last point on that, is the challenge in the space is brands often believe that they're stocked across all our stores. So, for example, we had a campaign where a particular brand thought that its body lotion, which was a kind of Vaseline body lotion product, was stocked across all our stores because that's what their reps said and that's what they thought. And the head office said, come, let's do a campaign. We did the campaign to only realize they were stocked in 12 stores of 160. And they thought they were actually stocked. So since that day, which is about 3 years ago, we now run price and stock reviews for brands prior to campaigns and even as a separate product line. So they can check where their products are stocked. And that, again, has a huge effect. If you run an activation and there's no stock in the store, you're not going to see it. So these are the challenges with the independent space. You've got to check and do everything yourself to understand what can you do to get the success.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so delighted to hear about the sort of the level of detail you're going down to in the data to really see those results. I guess sometimes, though, you might find it's a bit of a debate with the brand you're talking to because they just want to push their brand through and you're trying to guide and advise based on insight rather than just saying yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're acting, our platform is there for the brands, the stores, and the consumers. We don't exist without all 3 winning, as I've kept repeating 2 or 3 times. We've had sales reps in the past who have sold a brand a campaign that hasn't worked because they've been chasing the revenue from the brand to pay for the campaign. And we've challenged that, and we've sorted those kind of issues out in normal business evolution. Is that at the end of the day, you've got to say to the brand, we don't want you to do the campaign. We don't want you to pay us because it's not going to work. Because when it doesn't work, we're going to come back to us and say it doesn't work. So, and that's when we see stock or very big competitive campaigns at the same time, where the store owners themselves have directly engaged with suppliers, have agreed to a massive campaign for a washing powder. We have another washing powder wanting to go on campaign, but you can't now have this conflictual element on the shelf space of 2 products. Yeah. You're not going to see the challenge. So there's a consistent communication ongoing every day with store owners, with the buyers, with what they're doing. And remember, this market as well get deals specially delivered to them that week. So they'll get a phone call from a supplier that says, I've got 2 container loads of rice. Do you want it? Special deal, 40% off, buy it now. The guy will say, yes, take it. I'll take it for my 10 stores. Meanwhile, 2 months ago, we've confirmed a campaign for brand X for their rice across all these stores. But the shop owner is going to kind of not acknowledge that and say, well, I'm not going to turn down the trade. And in turn, you've got to play with it. So it is a very dynamic, challenging environment compared to a single chain of stores.
Of course, of course. Well, good balancing act. One of Candice's question was around the channel, and she did actually ask also email, SMS, or WhatsApp. So you said SMS, but have you used the WhatsApp channel?
We're starting to use it. We had been looking at it for over a 1.5 years, 2 years. The one component has been a cost challenge when it's come to group WhatsApp and the volume that we run. So we're running way over 50,000. We're running over quite a few millions of SMSs. As I mentioned, we have 1.7 million registered customers at the moment. And each day we currently registering about 3,000 new customers per day at the moment who also receive communication. So when you add all that up, I think similar to what Neil was referring to in the ShopRite presentation yesterday and discussion, the sheer quantity and quantum of this requires different levels of communication. So definitely we're actually looking at our possible own smartphone proposition to this market, to our members. The phone we have found that's very cost effective with a SIM package that will be packaged to them. So those kind of initiatives, we're trying to create our own connectivity to a space that's quite unconnected in the smartphone play.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Last question, who are your competitors to Bonsella?
So it's quite a commonly asked question. I would like to say that we have a few competitors in segments of our proposition, but we don't see any national or holistic competitor in our space at the moment. And why I say that is that there are a lot of companies that would be running specific campaigns for an airtime reward for a store, but they don't have no data integration. They have no registered consumers. Their customers have to give some number at the till and punch it in their phone number into a till system or do something like that. So there's different segments there. We do a lot of research for brands as an income generator. So research is a product of ours, and there are a lot of research companies. What we find is that research companies are actually starting to use us now because it's more cost effective to buy the research from us and on-sell it to their clients than try to duplicate it in these rural areas. So we kind of don't have a single competitor, but we have nodes of competitors and complementary partners who theoretically should be a competitor.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, thank you. So behind your platform, behind the Bonsella brand, that's the consumer-facing brand, obviously, is the platform Retail Engage. And I just want to congratulate you on the highly commended recognition yesterday as the highly commended loyalty technology vendor from the South African Loyalty Award. So congratulations to your team, and thank you for the insights, Andrew. You've really shared an enormous amount, and I think people will be poring over the percentages that you shared today. So we're extremely grateful. We don't have any more questions, and we're actually finishing perfectly on time. So thank you very much.